Gaudeamus omnes in Domino, diem festum celebrantes, sub honore sanctorum omnium, de quorum solemnitate gaudenta. Hello, welcome to Moments with the Master.
For the second time.
Number 2. I'm going to make all the same jokes because why not? I am my father. I have shaved, and I look. It actually looks remarkably like him about 20 years ago, which is also about 10 years after me. So I don't know what I'm saying about myself. Anyway, yes, it's my last time to shave. Like, my face was so cold today after taking the beard off. It really is going to be necessary for the winter time. I'm here with Josh Father Josh, to talk about the readings for Christ the King Sunday.
I could grow a beard, but the Army doesn't like it. I'm waiting. They just changed all the hair policies for women, and I'm waiting for them to change the regulations on facial hair for men.
I think they should allow
Well, I think they should only do it if we have facial hair like a Civil War general.
just sideburns,
like an epic hangy down ZZ Top beard, or sideburns, or the big mustache with the
nice. Yeah. Father Bigote. We have had a nice period where our readings and the Roman Catholic readings were the same, but we are dividing off right now because we're about to go into the period of St. Martin's Lent. That's going to be next Sunday, which starts our new liturgical cycle. It's the liturgical new year. In both the Roman Catholic and Celtic Catholic churches, Christ the King Sunday is the last Sunday of the liturgical new year. So the readings for Christ the King Sunday are: Old Testament is Daniel chapter 7, verses 13 and 14. The Psalm is 93. The epistle is Revelation chapter 1, verses 4 through 8. And the gospel is John chapter 18, verses 33 to 37. So the Old Testament reading is Daniel having the vision of the Son of Man receiving power and dominion from the Ancient of Days, which is reflected in the epistle, where it's John, and he's saying, grace and peace to you from Jesus Christ, the faithful witness, the firstborn of the dead, and the ruler of the kings of earth. He is coming with the clouds. Behold, he comes riding with the clouds. I'm the Alpha and the Omega, says the Lord God, who was and who is to come. That is, by the way, one of my favorite lines in all of Scripture. The Psalm is 93. The Lord is King. He has made the world sure. He's put on his apparel and girded himself with strength. Mightier than the sounds of waters and the breakers of the sea is the Lord who dwells on high. So you have here several readings. I'm about to get to the reading. Several readings which are about Christ in his majesty, which is a common, well, okay. So we have, this time I remember to do it. Share screen. Ciao. There we go. Here is a common, very common theme in Christian iconography: Christ in majesty. You can see him here with his Book of Judgment, and he has, there's a word for this, mandala, I think. His majesty radiating out from him. You have this amazing one, which I kind of don't like, but also kind of love. Here's Jesus again, doing judgment. Another one. I'm trying to find one in particular. There's some well, anyway, Christ in his majesty, often attended by the four living creatures. And then, as part of that one, I'm waiting for this thing on top to go away. We have this one. This is Christ Pantocrator, Christ the Almighty, who you can see the two sides of his face. One of them is like looks kind, and the other one looks angry. So it's Christ sitting in judgment, but also in mercy, united in one person. And yes, it does look. It does look creepy. It does. It does. And then we have another one. You can tell with these that they are more modern. Most of them. They're the ones with Jesus wearing a crown. That's an odd looking crown, but there's another one wearing different robes than normal. Sometimes you can see Christ the King. I'm trying to find one where he's on the cross, but he's wearing all of his robes, and he doesn't look like he's bleeding or anything like that. Okay, so there we have Jesus, Christ, the King in his majesty, which reflects all of the other readings for Christ the King Sunday. And then we have the gospel. Pilate entered the praetorium again and called to Jesus and said to him, "Are you the King of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "Do you say this of your own accord, or did others say it to you about me?" Pilate answered, "Am I a Jew? Your own nation and the chief priests have handed you over to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingship is not of this world. If my kingship were of this world, my servants would fight that I might not be handed over to the Jews. But my kingship is not from this world." Pilate said to him, "So you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I am. You say that I am a king. For this I was born, and for this I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice." And then Pilate makes the sign, the famous sign, INRI, Jesus Nazareum Rex Judicum, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews, and puts it on the cross, and the Jews don't like it. And as you reminded me in the previous incarnation of this video, Pilate said what I said. I bet that's really amazing in Latin, by the way. I said what I said.
Shut up, fool.
Huh?
Said, "Shut up, fool."
Right. that's the Latin. And so Jesus, with a sign proclaiming his kingship, is crucified. And that I think it is so important that the readings for today pair that gospel with all of those other readings, because when we think of kings, it is those other ones that we think of, the power and the glory and the gilding and the golden toilets and having a scepter and a sword and armies and the finest of everything. I don't know why I keep referring to a previous video when it doesn't exist, basically. But when we were talking before, I asked you if you had heard of the book Worms by Orson Scott Card, WYRMS, by the way, if you want to listen to it.
I do remember that.
Okay. It's a super weird book, super weird. But one of the...
As are many of his books.
As are many of his books. One of the things that really struck me was that on this, there is a king that everybody defers to, but he's not the original king. He's actually part of a line that deposed the true king. And the true king is acting as an advisor to the king. And then the true king, he has a daughter that he is raising to be queen, but he raises her in a specific way where he says, the purpose of the king or the queen is to serve the people. You live and die for your people, whether it's on the throne or here. Right now, I better serve my people advising the man who calls himself king. If I were to fight a war, then many people would die and it would not benefit any of them. I can help from where I am and make their lives better from what I'm doing. And that is whether, no matter what your state is, your job is to serve as queen, no matter where it is. And that is what we often misunderstand about kingship. We say there's a lot of people who talk about how, oh, I'm a son of the king, I'm a daughter of the king, I'm royalty because I've been adopted by the king, and they use it as a way to as a self-worth type thing.
The status.
Because I'm, say again.
It's a status thing.
A status thing. I am royalty. I can believe in myself. You can't say anything to me because I'm a king or a queen. But that's kind of the opposite of what Jesus is saying. There's this excerpt from.
So while you're looking for that, an interesting conversation, kind of in the same vein. This person that I work with down here at Sumter Shaw Air Force Base in Arson, we were talking about something. I don't remember what something was, and I was saying, so I'd spent money on. She was talking about all the goodies that Marilyn made, right? And man, that must cost a lot of money. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, it costs what it costs, and it is. And she was like, well, you should take that off on taxes or something. I can't remember what she said. And I was like, well, I mean, it's a ministry. We don't do it. Plus, I would rather get my rewards in heaven. And her response was, well, why can't you get your rewards on earth and in heaven? Isn't that? And I was like, I'm pretty sure that Jesus said something about that. She's like, are you sure? It's like, I'm pretty sure that that's kind of the way, if I take my rewards now, but that is, it's that same idea that, I want the status for what it benefits me here.
Yes. Well, okay. So this is from the Guthlac, soon to be famous epic poem on the life of Saint Guthlac. He's in a monastery, and he has been learning from Saint Nathan Bartholomew and from the abbess and from an angel who are teaching him about God. And after he kind of starts to grasp that he cannot grasp it, he says, "My meat mind can't conceive a God who nursed from virgin breast, who knelt to wash his students' feet, who blessed the poor and cursed a tree, forgave the whores and damned the priests, and trampled death by death." One of my favorite lines of anything I've ever written is "forgave the whores and damned the priests," by the way. "For Christ is king, he reigns in ways we cannot comprehend. He makes a throne of maiden womb, a manger, cross, and stone-sealed tomb. And bringing light to Sheol's gloom, he reigns and brings death's end." So Jesus, no matter where he is king. Jesus is ruling no matter where he is. When he was in Mary's womb, he made Mary's womb the Holy of Holies. When he was in the manger, he made the manger more noble than Caesar's throne. When he descended into hell, he knocked down the gates and took his people back out with him, because wherever he is king. And if you read the Gospels, for 99% of the Gospels, his kingship entailed feeding the hungry, healing the blind and the lame, and in humility, washing the feet of his disciples. Humility, going into the Jordan.
Your master, I've done this for you.
Then do this for each other. And do this for other people too. That is, Daddy and I were talking today. I don't know if you read, he was commenting about San Francisco and how when he was there in the 70s, it was everything that you could hope for a city to be. And now it was petty shoplifting had been decriminalized, and there were a bunch of homeless people that were leaving human feces on the streets. And I commented and said, well, you know how to fix that. Just criminalize petty theft and homelessness, and they'll all be in jail, and then you can have your pure, clean streets again. Because that is the only solution that the world has to the problem. The real solution is us being Jesus to them, being the kings that we are called to be, kings on our knees. Trademark that, kings on our knees. But we are unwilling. Mm-hmm. We're too careful of our pride and our rights and all of these things to really. Did I say this in the previous video or this one? I was saying America, the existence of America is irrelevant because we are kings and queens in a worldwide government that transcends borders. But we are kings and queens in a way that the world could never understand if we were to do that. And unfortunately, we aren't doing that either. Stop me again at any time if you want to mention something. This feast, by the way, is a new feast. And by new, I mean it's within the last 100-ish years. So after World War I, Pope Pius XI, he writes an encyclical in which he says that even though the fighting had stopped, that there was still animosity between all of the nations and all of the peoples. And that there would never be
an armistice.
Yes, there would never be true peace until Christ was king. And then he writes another one, because I think that people were misunderstanding. And he says, Christ has dominion over all creatures, a dominion not seized by violence nor usurped, but by essence and by nature. Jesus is king by who he is. And he doesn't need to exercise power over other people in order to be king. He just is. I'm going to share. Well, do you have any inserts? Okay. No. So I'm going to share the screen again, and I'm going to talk about one of the best visual ways I can think of that Christ's kingship works. All right. So we have here, this is right outside. Well, one of the things I dislike about Washington, D.C. is how utterly pagan it is. You have very little of anything Christian. Like if you look at the rotunda, there's the apotheosis of George Washington, and then you have the Washington Monument, which is a giant Egyptian-looking obelisk, and da-da-da-da-da. So here's an obelisk that looks completely pagan and actually is in the middle of St. Peter's Square in Rome. But it actually was built in ancient Egypt and was brought to Rome by Caligula and put over the circus. And so may have been witness to many of the persecutions of Christians, of the martyrs, right? So you would think that you would destroy it. So what does Rome do? They put it in the very center, and then they inscribe it with, for example, that's not the one I want this one. Ecce crux Domini fugite partes adversae, vicit leo de tribu Juda, which is, behold the cross of the Lord, flee adversaries, the Lion of Judah conquers. They carved that on the bottom. And then over here is another one. Christus vincit, Christus regnat, Christus imperat, Christus ab omni malo plebem suam defendat. Christ conquers, Christ reigns, Christ rules. Christ from all evil defend your people. And that is what is sitting in the middle of the center of the Roman Catholic Church, at least. So it is to me, it is the perfect image, something that was built by pagan Egyptians and stolen by the Romans and was witness to the martyrdom of Christians, and is now declaring the kingship of Jesus. I love that. I love that. And that to me is what Christ the King Sunday is about. If it should definitely remind us of Jesus as he is now enthroned in Jesus as we will see him in judgment. Absolutely. Jesus with the two scary eyes. But it should also be a call to us to be the kings on our knees that he was, because that is how that kind of conquering happens. Mm-hmm. Absent from that, we're not conquering. As a matter of fact, we're losing. We're losing because we're trying to be worldly kings.
Right.
And that will never work. So that is it from my end.
I don't have anything to add to that.
Okay. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, I give you my heart, my soul, and my strength. Make me a good man.
Amen.